Welcome, friends, to Best of Three.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
Alvin.
and hello.
I'm Alvin. This is Matt.
Matt. Yes, hello. We're here.
Are you well?
We're here. I'm very well. I'm very well.
That's good.
We have things to talk about, so I'm super well.
Yeah, I really look forward to these. This is our space to talk that shit, and
Yep.
we got some shit to talk. So I feel good about being here.
It's happening today.
Yeah. How are you before we get into it?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah?
We talked about it in another session. I feel like I'm starting to really feel the calendar years start to swirl down the calendar year drain. I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like new things are coming. It's like I'm starting to think about next year.
Yeah. Yeah. And as we come up on Thanksgiving, we still have like a full 6 week sprint left in 2024.
Yes.
But then also 2025 is like not going to wait for anybody.
Nope.
So
Nope.
that's where we are.
You got to. We're gonna catch that bus. We're gonna catch that 2025 bus as soon as we can.
We are.
Yep.
We are. But anyways, we're here. The weather outside is weather. Tennis is all around us, and I love it. This is we're coming here live in middle of just post Billie Jean King Cup, right after, or also in the middle of Men's Davis Cup. We'll talk about those two things probably in the next episode, right?
Yep.
Kind of talk about them together. Team tennis. I'm so into it.
It seems so fun, doesn't it?
Oh my
it's just
goodness.
it's like the Pro Bowl, but better. Do you know what I mean? Like nobody takes the Pro Bowl seriously, but like there's bragging rights on like Billie Jean, like the cups. Like it's like a mini Olympics every year.
And they have their history. Like each individual event has their own history, and like now they're being played kind of simultaneously at the same location. And I started watching it, and this is like, full disclosure, I never watched either prior to this year. But I started watching, kind of peeking in, and now like I am into it.
Alvin, is it
into it?
Is it a thing? Is it cup season? Is it cup season?
Ooh, it's cup season.
It's cup season.
It is cup season.
It's hardware season. Cup season.
It's hardware season.
We're gonna get back to. We're gonna put that in the parking lot, but it's gonna be called something, and it's a season.
It's I love a swing. I love a season. This is gonna be cup season. I'm putting this in my notes.
Hardware.
We speak.
Cup swing. Hardware swing. We'll figure it out. It's gonna be a thing.
I like it, but that's for another time. Hopefully next week.
Yep.
But today we've got a really nice lineup for the people. We're gonna start with just kind of going over what happened in the last week or so. The last time you and I got together, we were I think in the semifinals ish of the WTA finals.
Yep. We were watching scores live.
We were watching scores live. Yep. We were. I think we were recording during the semifinals. Coco Gauff versus Our Lady Arena Sabalenka, and Coco did pull out that match and then ultimately won the event, and she got paid.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Where do we even start with this, right? So I watched a good bit of this event, right? And the thing that really interests me about the women's tour right now, which is, I think very much so on display at this event, is that you take out Arena and you take out Iga, and it feels like those feel like the definite two,
right?
1 and 2 in whatever order we have this year versus last year. But then 3 through 8 is no joke.
Oh, for sure.
It's no joke.
Yeah.
And I think Coco winning it is really it's really a testament to what I believe is her biggest strength, is which Coco has probably the highest floor of all these players. Like on her worst day, she's going to bring number 3 in the world energy.
Oh yeah.
And if 1 and 2 aren't where they need to be, she will take them down.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that we've talked about when we're not doing this is just that Iga she can get beat. She can get beat. I think there was a time where I'd be like, you can't beat her. I think that she is. I don't think she's in that the end of that 3-year run that you talk about. But I also think let's see what happens when she gets a new coach, which she got.
Right.
So
Right.
that could be just what she needed to be the absolute Terminator that she was. But I also think Arena is not messing around. So I think I might, just to come back to it and get it done, like 1 and 2 can lose. Like, it's awesome. It's not, we're not talking about Federer and Nadal and, you know, Novak.
Djokovic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like people can lose over here, but I mean, you look at Pagula and I mean, yeah, I think top 10 is dangerous. It's real dangerous.
It's dangerous, and that's what makes it so awesome right now. Like, try not to look too much or read too much into what happens at the end of the year. Like, people are in different places for a lot of different reasons, right? The women leave New York after the Open, and then they pop up in Asia, and there's a couple of events there, and then top 8 went kind of double track back, went to Saudi Arabia, and so what you're looking at is a lot of players who are, I think, who are handling this part of the year differently from one another. Yeah. So Iga goes on a break, right? She goes on a break, tries to get some work done, shows up in Riyadh, hasn't played a match in a while. I don't think she had played a match before, like, since the U.S. Open.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And so, unlikely to finish the year number 1, so she gets into it like, all right, let's just get after it and see what we got, try to take from it what you can. And she played well enough, but did not qualify for the finals, the top 4. But then she takes that same energy and goes into heads out to Malaga. Is it Malaga or Malaga? I never really get it. I think it's Malaga for Billie Jean King Cup, and now she's rolling, right?
Yeah, the end of the year is a weird thing.
It is. It's like, are we here? Are we happy to be here? We're gonna play out the side and then take the money and then head to the Maldives, or are we actually trying to win this thing? Do we have the energy to win this thing? Like, it's not the best time of year for an end of year championships when you're like
tired.
Yeah, and they start the next season in like this year.
Yeah.
So it's a hard ask. So I think you have to take it all with a grain of salt, the results, but kind of take what you can.
Yeah. It's super interesting. And I think going back to the idea of like huge amount of money for Coco, what that means is like she's going big. Like she's going big. I think that the top 10's going big. And we always used to say like any given fortnight, especially on the WTA tour, you don't know what's going to happen. And I think with this top 10 that we're finishing with and going into next year with, assuming everybody stays healthy or whatever, like you don't know what's going to happen. And that's a big thing. And whoever, any 10 of these people are about to get big money, big tournaments, big endorsements, big everything. And I think what it means is like next year's going to be crazy.
Next year is going to be crazy. And I'm like so excited to see what happens once we get to Australia.
And who is going to tear up the chart? Like, who do we not know? Like, if you look at top 10, like Paolini, Zhang, like these people shot up the chart. They shot up the chart.
Right.
Also, Danielle Collins is like, I'm not done. So like,
right. So, and
she's
then
got nothing to lose. She's going to kill it.
Barbora is good to like just kind of sneak a Grand Slam every once in a while. Like, she can do it. She's done it twice.
She's thinking about which one she's going to shock the hell out of me.
And just kind of like thinking about this, Barbora has won 2 Grand Slams now in her career. That's on the women's side. That's
like 2 more than most of them. Yeah,
that's a Hall of Fame career.
Oh,
like it's like a legitimate conversation. I don't think anyone with 2 Grand Slams is not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. No, she definitely has very quietly and in a super unassuming way made her way into history. And everybody's like, who? And I'm just saying, watch out. The last thing I want to say about the tour and what it all means and the big money and all of that, Emma Navarro, I'm going to be really curious to see if she's what archetype she fits. Is she going to stay there? Is she going to fall off? Is she going to rise up? Like, I think she's a big question mark for me, like in a good way. Like, I'm super curious what she's about to do.
Let me push on that a little bit. Cause I think she is I have thoughts. But what do you think's going to happen? Like, do you think she has the potential to crack into that top 4 and make a run at a slam?
I think she's going to completely drop off, or I think she's going to stay where she is in the top 10.
So you think this is her ceiling?
I think it's her ceiling this year. I don't think she's going winner. I think she's about to have a long career, but I don't see. I mean, maybe she's gonna rope a dope Arena one day, but I don't think. I think we are either gonna lose track of Emma, or she is going to be top 10 next year. That's my prediction.
I feel somewhat similar in that, like, her baseline probably is top 10 if you hold other things constant.
Yeah.
Like, okay, she finished up the year at, what was she at, 8? No.
Yeah, she's 8.
She's 8. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess the easy way to start is, like, does anyone outside of the top 8 pass her with health and or whatever? Like,
I think
Karolina Muchova play a full season and then, like, sneak past Emma Navarro? Does Naomi come back and, like, reassert herself? Does Mira Andreeva have a
these are all important questions. Also, like, I don't know a lot about Jasmine, and I don't think she's messing around either. So I think kind of rounding out the WTA finals conversation in general. Like, I think I have no idea what's going to happen. And, like, last year, it's like, well, Arena and Rybakina and Iga are going to whoop everybody, and that's not what's going to happen this time. That's not what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff, and I think in a couple weeks after everything kind of shuts down, we'll do a proper WTA year in review and 2025 preview, and kind of maybe peel this onion a little bit further. But I think all in all, I think it was I enjoyed watching the event. Coco winning it was, take the money aside, it was not nothing.
Well, so she's not in debt anymore. What was the headline there?
Oh yeah, the was it a live stream she was on, and in the comment section was like, oh, she could pay off some of her loans or get out of debt, and it's like, she's like, I'm 19. I didn't go to college.
We're gonna talk about her lack of debt and sponsorships a little later in material things. When we talk about WTA and a certain watch manufacturer. But for now, I think we also should probably talk about the ATP finals recap.
Did you get a chance to watch much?
I didn't see a lot of it.
Okay.
I skew women, and I skew choked out by my children.
Yeah, so. No, that's fair. I was, very, very beneficial of the time, the time between here and Turin.
Oh yeah.
And I got a chance to watch a decent amount of it. It's from my perspective right now. So obviously, Jannik Sinner won the event. He also made $4.8 million. So
that's another thing that's interesting about all of this. The bag was the same.
The bag was the same. Yeah, the bag was the same, and they were in different locations, right? So I think it just I think that was kind of the big kicker with the Saudi investment into the WTA finals.
Yep.
It was like, okay, we're gonna bring parity in the purses between the players. So that's a net positive.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great thing.
Yeah, my kind of big takeaways from the event, and I don't want to dwell too much on it because I think it's just kind of like we've kind of settled into like tiers on the men's side.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
So Jannik Sinner is almost like the litmus right now. He is the metronome of the tour.
He's
like,
the new guy.
This guy doesn't have bad days. Like, he's very Novak in the way that he can get on the baseline and just lock it down and hit the piss out of the ball, but also moves so well.
His mental game feels really strong also. Like, I think the mechanics and the kind of like the physical mechanics, you can speak to it a lot better, but like as a non-player, like watching him, he's an ice cube. Like, I just like he is not a mercurial guy. Like, I think and those type of people succeed.
Yeah, and they're consistent, and that's exactly what he is. Like, he has been runaway player of the year outside of being,
for sure,
finishing the year number one.
Everybody knows who he is, but the
slams.
idea of like where he is now, like I would a year or two ago, no.
Right. Well, a year ago, he hadn't won a Grand Slam yet.
Yeah.
He was like, it was interesting. This time last year is where he takes down Novak at the ATP finals, and then loses to him. Like, he beats him in the round robin, loses to him in the semis or the finals of the actual event, and then comes back, beats him in Davis Cup 2 weeks later. So like that was this dude is here. What's he gonna do in 2024?
Yeah.
And then he won the Australian Open.
Yeah.
Beating Novak in the semis.
I don't want to get too crazy about it, but I mean, there's definitely the guard is slowly changing, and I think that's one of the big things to think about when we're talking about the finals here. Like, there is an era coming in.
Yeah, and that's the thing that it's interesting, and we talked about it previously with the women, how it's so exciting because the top 10 they're all there for the fight. Right?
Oh yeah,
they're all there for the fight. But when I look at the men's side, I'm like, okay, I kind of know what I'm gonna get. Like, Yannick's gonna show up. He's gonna show up, and he's gonna play at somewhere between a level of 8.5 and 9.75. Pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's going to be enough a lot of the time.
Yeah, vast majority of the time. And if he does, the only person that really can match him and then supersede him right now is Carlos Alcaraz. But Alcaraz sometimes.
Alcaraz sometimes. Can you just stop there? Right. That's his new name. Alcaraz sometimes.
Yeah, Alcaraz sometimes. So you put these two guys in the tier by themselves, right? And then you got the rest of them, the Zverevs and the Medvedevs and the Fritz, de Minaur. Like we'll leave Djokovic out of this conversation for now because
he's still a question mark. I mean, he might show up and be like, I feel much better. I got all kinds of holistic homeopathic infusions, and now I'm ready to go.
Yeah, or he just wants to. Like he pops up in Melbourne. He's like, you know what? I've won this tournament a lot. I'd like to win it again. And
it happens.
But he is Father Time is undefeated.
Well,
so
he's number 7.
Yeah, and he didn't play in the tour finals. So he just opted out.
Talk to me about Taylor Fritz for a second.
What are we? Oh, yeah, let's talk about Taylor.
Let's talk about Taylor Fritz for a second.
Taylor Fritz is our U.S. number 1.
We like Taylor.
We like Taylor. He's the best we've got, and I think getting to the finals of the U.S. Open was huge for him.
Yeah,
kind of breaking through that ceiling,
great.
then he gets to we get to Turin. He qualifies for the finals, and he and Zverev they've played a few times this year, especially in the back half of the year, and he's found something where he can beat Zverev.
Well, that's the thing. Also, these rankings matter. All these things we're talking about, but those matchups, you and me and Das have talked about that sometimes. Sometimes those matchups will disrupt an entire table at a Grand Slam.
Yeah, and it's really
it's just
how does the draw unfold? And then you find Taylor Fritz in a final.
Yeah.
And I think that's the story kind of moving into next year, is that between those guys that are ranked, call it 3 through 8, I think it's a grab bag of who's going to be the one that doesn't end up having to go through Alcaraz and or Sinner.
Yeah.
And then that person can get to the final of a Grand Slam.
There's a whole bunch of dudes who don't have a Grand Slam on that tour because of the era we just lived through. And and we were just talking about Babs, and she's one of these random chicks with and I mean that respectfully, with a Grand Slam, and there's not random dudes with Grand Slams. That's just not how things have gone.
Yeah, it hasn't worked that way. You literally have to a Grand Slam won't fall in your lap.
Nope.
And I actually think the Fritz counterpart here is Alexander Zverev, where he can do. I mean, I think he's currently ranked number 2 in the world.
Yeah, I think he's real high.
But he can do everything that gets himself in a position
to do it,
to get to the semis or the finals of a Grand Slam. But it's funny how he has to go take it, and his game style actually isn't one that screams "go take it." It's more of, I'm going to be here, and if you drop it, I'll catch it, but I'm not going to go take it. And I think that is the ceiling that he has bumped into, where Sinner and Carlos will just go take it.
Oh yeah. I mean, Carlos sometimes, unless he's all the time, because if it's all the time Carlos, you're not getting out of there. He's taking it.
All the time Carlos is a gift. He is a gift.
So let me ask you a question though. His consistency or lack thereof, like what do you is it just age? Is it just any number of things?
Watching Carlos over the last 3 years, he has the ability to do the incredible. And I think that there is, that's what makes him very difficult to play for a lot of players, because he can come up with some things in some places that you're like, whoa, I don't have an answer for that. And he also is probably the best, if not one of the best, two movers, like speed-wise on the tour right now. So his ability to cover the court and then hit shots, like hit penetrating shots, hurting shots from anywhere in the court, like that's the Carlos magic. But sometimes he won't do the boring stuff, which is like, on my worst day, how do I get through a match easily? Because most matches are won by people not playing their best tennis. That's kind of what it comes down to. Yeah. And I think his ceiling is the highest, but his floor is definitely lower than Sinner's, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's why we get more variability in his results. Like he won. He managed to put together back-to-back Grand Slams in the middle of the summer on two different surfaces. Like, that's cool.
Yeah. I haven't done that yet. Huh.
Yeah,
Yeah. So something.
But then also will then like flake off and not be able to put it together in a warm-up event for whatever reason.
Yeah. One of these days we're going to talk about Carlos's personal life in a funny way, because I think people all think he's doing things under NDAs with other nice ladies, and anyway, we'll get there one day. One of the things I wanted to bring up was, I'm looking at the charts, right? I'm looking at the charts. Taylor Fritz is 27 years old. He's number 4. He's hungry. He's hungry.
Wow.
He's hungry. I like Taylor. I watched that show on the Netflix. Nice guy. He's got his kid. I like him. He's willing to sacrifice his body to make a point in his hometown. I said, from here on out, I see Taylor. I see him.
Okay.
Daniel Medvedev is number 5. He is 28 years old. They've got the same number of points, and I think Medvedev will do anything to win. And I think in a world where it's real hard to get your hands on a Grand Slam, I'm always going to pick Medvedev over Taylor in reality, not because I want to. Does that make sense? And like, I think that'll be interesting. It's just, I just don't think. And if you look at the charts and the points, there's a big drop off after Medvedev. So for me, like right now, today, right this second, like the top 5 is what matters. Yeah,
I feel if we need to put the asterisk next to Novak's name and take him out of the conversation, I'm gonna even though Taylor is ranked currently ahead of Daniil, I'm gonna put Daniil ahead of. Yeah, I'm gonna put Daniil ahead of him in the. Could this person win a Grand Slam? Well, also he's done it too. Let's put that out there. He has done it. He won the U.S. Open in 2019, 2018, whatever. 19, 20? I don't remember when it was, but he did win the U.S. Open when Novak. I guess that had to be 21.
Right.
Yeah, 21. And he's been to a lot of finals.
He sure has.
And he's lost on account of some heroic events in a lot of those finals.
Right.
So he's shown that he can do it, and under the right circumstance, he will get it done.
Yeah.
But I don't see it out of any of the rest of these guys.
No, and I'm scrolling down. I'm scrolling down. We love Tommy Paul. We love Frank. We love Frank T. We want to see Bell and Shelton do things, but they're just way down there right now, and I hope that changes. I'd like to see that change.
Yeah, I just haven't. From what we've seen today, we are third week of November. With the information presently available, I just don't see it.
Yeah.
kind of one of the last things I want to talk about was the actual final match in the ATP finals.
Yeah.
We had a rematch of Fritz versus Sinner for the second time in the event, third time in the last. I guess they played in the finals of the U.S. Open as well. It's really interesting watching that matchup because, and you hear this a lot, they do a lot of the same things. Like they both want to just bang from the back of the court, and they can both do it off both wings. But at some given point, Taylor's just a little bit too slow to cover up a misstep.
Got it.
So, and I'll get a little more technical about it. They can both go, straight line to straight line, backhand to backhand, and then at some point, Jannik has the ability to get his backhand to go over the sideline, right? Cut off the court a little bit, and Taylor doesn't have the ability to create that shape. So as soon as Taylor's ball quality drops just enough for Jannik to get around one and pull him off the court, like it's we're starting to see, like, 2 balls later, it's curtains for Taylor. Like as soon as he gets behind that rally, he can't really recover because he just doesn't have that next gear of movement, of athleticism.
Well, that's what they talk about with the great
and Carlos have.
Sorry, that's what they talk about with the greats, is like it's that other gear.
Yeah.
And I haven't Taylor does not necessarily, I haven't seen it. And he's 27.
Yeah, he's a tall guy. He's a tall guy. They're all kind of tall, but like that's what makes, that's the difference between really good and special. Like everyone's got to be tall, but like tall and fast. It's like you
have to be a lot of things. That's why Medvedev is such a ridiculous thing, because he is fast and he's long.
He's very long.
So yeah, I mean, the ATP finals, very exciting stuff. Should be interesting next year. I'm hoping to see some variability in different people coming up and coming down. But
same. I just don't see it coming. Like
you think it's going to be pretty static?
Next year's going to be it's going to be chalk. I could see Jannik and Carlos again winning all the Grand Slams. It could be 2-2. It could be a 3-1 split. I don't know.
It could be worse. We'll see.
Yeah, at least we have those
Someone's
going to
get hurt. I don't want them to. That's not what I'm saying. So we have 2 other things we want to talk about today, and one of them is a little bit touchy, and that's why we want to talk about it.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into it. I was gonna say our colleague, but we're not media members, so John Wertheim is not our colleague. This happened. I mean, this was almost 2 weeks ago when this went down, but we're gonna talk about it. John Wertheim from the Tennis Channel and of 60 Minutes and of the Surf Podcast with Andy Roddick made a comment on a hot mic that did not. Shine a good light on the physical appearance of Barbora Krejcikova, right? I think by this point, if you are a listener of this podcast, you've probably already seen the video or at least heard the audio.
Seen the headline.
He was on the hot mic, getting ready to go on air. Made a comment about her forehead, more or less, and he was then suspended indefinitely from his Tennis Channel commentating responsibilities. Matthew, what say you about this particular situation?
I think all of us can end up saying things that are stupid, especially those of us who maybe were born in the 20th century, right? Like, it does happen. But the truth is there's 2 things that are true. Number one, don't talk about people's bodies in a negative way, and maybe don't even talk about people's bodies in general, but I don't know about that. When we're talking about sports, it's tricky. But the other thing is there's just no room for error, and that's an interesting thing to note. I think you need to, I mean, he was obviously making fun of her. Like, that's the other thing. It's not like, wow, look at XYZ player's legs. What a powerhouse. I think she could karate kick me into the stands. That's different. And I think it's just, you have to be careful when you're a straight white man talking about other people's bodies. And that's where I'm going to leave it for now. But I think I think you have to be careful. I think if you want to elevate women and you want to have parity and have same bag at the end of a tournament, you have to you got to do a little better than that, because I think making fun of a man's forehead if he was like balding or something, would the same thing happen?
That's an interesting point that I hadn't considered. And I think while I haven't considered it, it probably also doesn't matter, because where we are in civilization, like you just can't make disparaging comments about, like, from a straight man's perspective to a female's perspective. There actually is no gray area. And the thing is, he copped to it. He fully owned it. He apologized.
He's connected to her. He's like really good friends with her agent or something, but I think he's still indefinitely suspended. So it's just something that happened, and it matters, and it's okay to acknowledge it, I guess, is where we wanted to leave it.
Yeah, and I think my perspective is aligned with yours. What I'm curious about is, what do you think should happen next? So he fully owned it. He apologized to her directly. He's been very outspoken about how sorry he is. He's had a long career in this game. He's highly respected. Made a mistake. Owned up to it. He's in the doghouse right now. So what happens next? What should happen next? I guess that's a better, more poignant question.
I think we want to have a world where you can have a conversation about that, and someone works to make it okay and doesn't make the mistake again.
So if you found yourself watching the United Cup in a couple weeks, and let's just fast forward. Let's say it's after Australia, and you find yourself watching the Dallas Open. That's a plug. I might be there.
Texas
and
tennis.
John Wertheim's on the call. Like, are you taken aback, or you go, all right, he made a mistake, he did his time?
I think so.
Let's move on.
I think so. If he continues to show that he learned from something. I mean, we have kids. Kids mess up. People mess up. Did you learn from it? Cool.
Right.
I think those of us with cool heads and open hearts need to stick together in this time frame. So anyway, I have one more. Well, we have one more thing we're gonna do, and one of the
let's do the thing.
And one of the things about me is I am not a player.
You just crush a lot.
Exactly. R.I.P. And I love gear. When I get into something, I get into gear. Right? Cameras. Been there. Get excited about a lot of things. I'm excited about tennis rackets. You guys have taught me a lot. I feel like, even though I don't play, I'm a Yonex man. I am a Yonex man,
I like that.
Okay, my imaginary racket is a Yonex, and I saw something, and this is what we call material things. The WTA, Rolex is now the official timekeeper and timepiece of the WTA. With the Swiss watchmaker continuing its support of the WTA finals. You got a picture of Coco Gauff here in the announcement on the WTAtennis.com. And I just want to say, as a passionate material thing, Dasef and I were kind of going off about, like, Rolex so amazing, it's so cool, the perpetual commercials, all this stuff. And I just happen to be a watch nerd, and I'm telling you that's so cool, but go try and buy a Rolex. You can't.
What's that like?
You can't. You can't buy a new one. And I guess the whole point of what I'm saying, because we're going to run out of time, but it's like Rolex, women's tennis, Coco, accessibility. I'm like, that's not Rolex. I said it. I like Rolex.
Yeah, so let's unpack this a little bit, just a tiny bit, because I was watching the chat blow up, and I was like, I got nothing to add here. I'm not a watch guy. I like to nerd out, and I like a fine thing here or there, but watches, I haven't hit that point yet. But I am aware that you can't just go into a Rolex store and buy a watch. Like, you have to. There's like this whole thing where. I mean, go ahead and explain to me. So I'm aware of this, but like, what is the you have to like buy a wallet, or you have to buy a house first? What do you have to do?
If you have to know who the authorized dealer is.
Okay.
You have to buy a bunch of stuff from them, and they have to like you, so that when the hotness comes in that Carlitos is wearing, that's how you get it. Mm-hmm. And here's just to condense what was happening, like an old Rolex used is the same as a new Rolex because Rolex is so hot. Like it's
Yeah.
not a product of the people anymore, and that's what I saw that sponsorship, and I'm like, let me tell you guys something about trying to get a Rolex. Like you just can't get one, and an old one is the same price as a new one, and that doesn't make any sense. I think that they sell aspirations, like you say, but I think Rolex is an interesting sponsor for the WTA Tour because they are a sponsor but have no interest in sponsoring anybody. It's not an accessible product. When I see Grey Goose on the side of the U.S. Open, I can get me some Grey Goose. If
You can get a honeydew.
if you don't have a lot of money and your friend brought you to the U.S. Open, you could probably save a couple shekels and get you a honeydews. You're having the experience.
Yeah.
Rolex is not an experience that people can have, and I saw that, and that's material things. And one day we're going to do material things and talk about strings and rackets, and it's going to be good. But I just had to say, like, as a real lover of watches and think Rolex is really cool, I was just like, come on, man, like G-Shock should be doing this.
Rolex. I know that the announcement was made, and that is great. But Rolex is almost synonymous with tennis. Like
I know, and what that is it's the old tennis. It's the country club. It's cats at the country club with their Rolexes.
It is,
and there. I said it to you and Dasev also. There was a big, massive hike in Rolex prices that coincided during COVID with crypto.
right.
And when crypto tanked, so did the price of Rolex. So it's just like one of those things, like, do you love watches and lifestyle, or are you just like, I need a Rolex? So it's just an interesting thing, and Rolex is a big part of tennis, and that's why, like, it bears mentioning what's going on here. I'm not knocking the brand. I think it's really complicated, but, like, come on, guys. You need to give away. You need to, like, we need some Rolexes shooting out of the t-shirt guns. Like, we need to sponsor some crowd people. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I think that's all we have for today. It's been a pleasure. Great.
Yeah, this is good. Feels good. It's always good to be with you.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm glad we got a chance to connect today and talk to the people.
Yeah. We have to give the people what they want. So here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys again soon.
All right. See everybody soon.
Take care.
Bye.